Hello, welcome to the last video explaining the last of the TM processes, which is report. So let's dig deeper into the report overview. First of all, we need to understand what is report and why do we run it as talent management. So why is report one of the TM processes? Report consists of these subchapters that we have here. So first is HR control tool, then entity state, engagement survey, and knowledge management. We're gonna go deeper into each one of them. But before this, I would like to highlight this part here related to the importance of this process for operations. We agreed already that all the TM processes serve operations, serve the capacity of our members to do exchange. So how does report do this? First of all, report makes sure that we collect data about our members in order for us to take decisions that are based on facts, based on data, and not based on assumptions or projections or whatever else. So the first point is that the report is important for us to make clear decisions, more relevant decisions that are based on facts. The second thing is that sometimes we tend to have a language that is pretty much TM oriented, that only talent management people understand. But what about the moment when we need to translate all this language and all this data to people that don't work with talent management every single day? Report helps us do this because we can convert this data into let's say concepts that are easier to understand for everyone. And the last point is that we have terms of 1 year here, right? So we have a very short period of time to do a lot of changes in the organization, and most of the times the changes, the achievements, the learnings that we have, all the data that we all the data and the tools at the same time that we produce gets lost at the end of one term. So the report process is helping us to keep track of this data and all these tools and to store them for a longer period of time for future generations to have access to them as well, and to have a more holistic understanding of the organization in the past, but also to understand how things evolved from one term to the other. Now let's go to the definition of this process. First, it ensures that data is available and that it's connected to the whole entity, so to everyone in the entity. Of course, we work according to the GDPR, so some sensitive data is only accessible to you or you and your LCP, but anyway, a very specific amount of people in the LC. Then reporting is implemented through the use of specific steps, such as HR control, which is a spreadsheet or a tool that has the number of your members in the LC and then some data about them in order for us to know all the time how many members do we have in our entity. Then we have engagement survey and SOGA or SONA. SONA is what you receive from the MC to fill in every quarter. SOGA is what we as MC receive from ISEC International to fill in every quarter. This can be as well understood as the national membership survey. And then the third part is that you collect some data and then you report on it, which is also the name of the process. And this report can be monthly, it can be quarterly, and per semester as well. You at LC level report some data to us for us to be able to report some data to ISEC International and so on. And this is how alignment is sustained in the organization. The first part of the report process is HR control that I was mentioning earlier. This is basically a tool where you put all the members that you have in each area, what is their position, what was their previous position, and brief data about their background in order for us to know how many members do we have on each area constantly in our organization. If you want to know more about this, you can click here on this button and you get to a PPT that's explaining just this part. The second part is entity state. So for this, we need to establish a routine of collecting and reporting data. So this routine should happen both at LC level and MC level, and ideally they are aligned, that measure different performance indicators that I was mentioning to you before in the TM Summit. we're going to talk about this in Access. These performance indicators are tracked by all ISEC entities, are tracked by ISEC International in each entity, and this is why it's important for us to collect data about each one of them. Then after we collect and report all this data, we need to make sure that our reports are accessible to people, right? Because we report for people to understand what is the current situation of our membership, what is the retention rate, what is the number of members achieving their goals, performance, and all of these things. So these are important insights for everyone in the organization to take decisions. That's why they need to be presented to the local level and also to our national plenary, and these are the type of reports that I'm doing for you guys. Ideally, it's at least on a quarterly basis, but if we collect data monthly, of course we need to report monthly on it. Otherwise, why would we wait until the end of the quarter? And the last point is to participate in SOGA or in SONA once per quarter, and just to submit accurate data. SOGA or SONA includes information about the performance that we had in the previous 3 months, the number of members that we have, what were the strategies that we are having to achieve these results, and what other strategies and numbers do we plan for the future. Then we have engagement survey that is, I was mentioning before, in the KEEP process. So this survey should be run at least once per quarter, but ideally is according to the timeline of team standards as well. We run it at entity level, so we as ISEC in Finland, but ISEC International also runs these engagement survey for ISEC International to have an overview of the global plenary and to understand what is the reality of ISEC as an organization globally overall. So that's why we need to strive for at least 30% of response rate in the global engagement surveys. Of course, when we run them at entity level, we expect a higher response rate because the questions are decided by all of us, but at the same time, we run this sort of surveys more often, so we need that data in order for us to know what is the situation of our entity at the moment. And the last part is knowledge management. So, okay, we collect data, we report on data, but now what? What is happening with it? I myself need to submit this TM processes implementation survey at least once per quarter to AI in order for ISEC International to know how do we implement TM processes, but also how many of them do we implement. And then the next part is just storing all these reports for at least 5 years, or at least to have access to all these reports from the previous 5 years, for future generations to have access to it and understand what was the situation during our term. This is pretty much it about the report process. Thank you for watching all this flow of TM processes knowledge. I hope things are a bit more clear for you right now when it comes to what do we do as TM and what are the processes that we need to implement. If you have any other question, contact me, ask me questions, and don't forget to take the test now and get certified in your knowledge for TM. Thank you.